and this is crazy, right? But a lot of times we want to help people, but we haven't helped ourselves yet. Like we can't help anybody, right? We have to know where we stand. We have to understand ourselves, look intrinsically to see what we're even about before we start, reaching out and looking for that validation elsewhere.
What's going on, everybody? So on today's podcast, we got Rafael Cortez. Your father? Are you father? How many?
Yes, sir. Father of three.
Father of three. Married?
Yep.
How long you been married for?
2013. We've been together in 2007, 6.
Man, that's pretty good, right?
So 17, around 17.
You got me by a couple of years, right? And you're in the real estate game. You're killing the game here in Arizona. You're like a local legend.
I don't know about all that, but hey, I stay pretty busy.
You're working your way to it, so we might as well call it what it is, right?
Thanks.
Because we all want to be legendary. We want to leave a legacy, you know what I mean? For our children, our children's children. I'm glad to have you on the show, man. We've been following you for a bit, and you're doing good things, and I think you're doing it the positive way. Like, some people are doing cool things, and they're real flashy and all this stuff, but I think you're doing it the right way. We see your nice black cross. And it's not about show, you know what I mean? It's more about let's go, I
think it's not a statement, right? Like it's about, okay, what do we believe in? And then what kind of message are we just kind of putting out there on the regular? So there's a lot of people doing great things in the Valley. Some are flashier than others and whatnot, but I think we all find our happy place, right? Our comfort. What is that to you?
Yeah. So I take it with the cross, you're a Christian.
Yeah.
Do you go to church actively?
Not as often as I should.
Okay.
I pray on a daily and everything, but it's.
So like MC Hammer?
MC Hammer, how's that?
Got to pray just to make it today.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm just kidding. No, so my faith is, and it's interesting. It's interesting you bring that up, right? And I know it's the conversation, it's you're ordained and it's it's something that I've been like growing up, man. I always kind of went back and forth, and I don't know if this is getting in the weeds. Like,
no, you're good.
Out of the gate.
We're good. Let's roll. We're rolling. We'll jump back into anything. We can always go backwards. You know what I mean?
I went back and forth with faith. I was in the choir when I was growing up, and church all the time and everything. There were certain things that like just didn't resonate with me when it came to church, right? So I was very skeptic about certain things, and just like I would see people go in and talk about church and God in a specific way, and then I would see them, and these were neighbors and uncles and family members and people I knew and everything, and then I would see them perform in a totally different way. It's like
Saturday, Friday and Saturday.
This is hypocritical. You know what I mean? So that was my idea growing up. When it came to church and religion and faith, I was like, no, it's just something people do. So I went through my teens, 20s, and 30s, and I started later in my 30s. I started understanding more about what it is to have a personal faith, right? Like, what does that mean to us? And that's kind of when the question really dawned on me, like, what do I believe in, right? Overachiever by DNA. I think my mom's very much the same way. Like performance was always a thing. Okay, cool. I gotta crush it. I gotta do this. I gotta and my life was constantly moving, right? But then you get to a point where like, okay, cool. I've done great stuff on the getting out of that survival stage.
Yeah.
And then I feel like the purpose, right, is dissipates. It fades once you hit a certain goal, a certain thing. Like then you sit there and you ask yourself, like, what is this whole thing about? Like, what's beyond the work, beyond the effort, beyond the thing, beyond that survival stage? And I sat with it, and I mean, this is years of just kind of going back and forth, and not back and forth, but really not settling with my own personal faith.
Yeah.
So it's still something that I feel like every morning, you have to tap back into it. You have to being prayer, right? Prayer and meditation. Prayer is me, speaking to God. Meditation is me listening to God. I mean, that's how I see it. But it's having that faith that's centered it has become, thankfully, a very, very important part of my life.
Yeah. You know what? When I was younger, so I grew up poor. I was adopted, given up, and all this stuff, drugs, young, all that stuff. And I had some friends, and I would go with them sometimes to church. It was the same thing. The mom was addicted to pills, and the dad was drunk, and then as I kind of started growing up in my late teens and stuff, and I was like, yeah, same thing, the hypocrites, boom, And then it wasn't till I quit doing drugs, and then I became a single dad of 3, and then I had to decide what do I want for my children, right? And I had to make a decision, like, if they have nothing to stand for, they'll fall for anything. And that's when I started going to church, because I was like, I got to give them something, right? Because alone I couldn't give them anything, and my family members and stuff, they weren't doing so good, and they couldn't give them anything. So I was like, we gotta be around people, even if there's some fake people there. Yeah, they just need to hear something good, right? And I could show them. I could be the one who shows them. You know what I mean? To back up. Oh, it's so good over here, and I could be like, see, we're doing it, guys. We're doing it. Exactly. You know what I mean? So it's cool. But you know what? Relationship, that's all it is. The most deaths have come by way of religion throughout from the beginning of time. Yeah. Like all the war, religious wars, and
we're seeing it right now. I mean,
exactly.
It's crazy.
So religion doesn't mean anything, right? So, anyways, all right. So you're the CEO of Pulse Group, right? Is it Pulse Group?
So I have
you have a few companies.
Yeah, a few companies, and then they're branded under the idea of Pulse it's like the pulse of the business. It's something that I just came up with early on and kind of roll with it, right? So Pulse Realty and Associates is my brokerage. CEO Pulse. I'm an organizational psychologist, so I coach and consult in business development, and that's CEO Pulse. And then I have Pulse Capital, which is my real estate investment company, where we do flips, we do a lot of wholesale, we do buy and hold, that type of stuff.
So did you go to school to university to become a psychologist, or is that something?
Yeah. Okay. Graduated a couple of times, a few master's degrees from Grand Canyon University.
Two of my daughters are going there. Yeah. Did you like it?
Yeah, I did.
Right, cool. Yeah, they're going there.
Yeah, nice. I had the opportunity to be a hybrid, but at the time, so I had another business. I was running the first business that I launched. I was 21 years old when it actually launched. And it was a non-emergency medical transportation business. So I started building that out when I was still a firefighter in Yuma, and it it kept me busy, right? So I didn't have a lot of time to go, be on campus and do all that stuff. So that's when they started rolling out online classes. I mean, that to me was like, what? It's insane. I can do this online? Yeah, sign me up. So
they were killing it online. I mean, that's what grew Grand Canyon University was online. They were like one of the number ones in the country, right?
Yep.
Online.
Yep.
So you started transportation. Did you say ambulance, like ambulatory?
Yeah, ambulet. So it was non-emergency medical transports.
So you're transporting people.
Yeah.
To say like a visit or something.
Yeah, doctor's appointment.
And come get them and all that. It's kind of like what's that company with the vans or something? There's a big company that does it, huh?
There's a few.
There's a few of them, right?
Yeah. So mine was Netcore Transports. I ended up selling that company. Somebody bought it, doubled the size on it. They're doing pretty good. But that idea kind of came about from the fire department. I mean, they would pull us out of service, and now you have an ambulance with a medic and an EMT in there sitting, for a dialysis run. And I would see how it messed up everything in terms of like moving up units to different stations throughout the city and whatnot. I was like, all right, cool. Like there's a need here. Let's see how we can come in and fill in the gaps.
Bro, we know everything about it. We watched Chicago Fire.
There we go.
My family does. They watch it like religiously. So you were doing that. You get out of that. How long were you doing that for, the transport?
I had that 2007, sold in 2014. I had it for about 7.5, 8 years.
That's pretty good. So you sold that, and then were you doing any real estate during that time, or you kind of just sold it?
Yeah.
So you were like, hey, let me take my profits, let me do some flips or buy and hold or something like that.
Yep, it's exactly how it went. So when I was in high school and college, I would do summers in construction, and I would have just a side gig, right, construction gig. So like, what can I do? I knew how to swing a hammer, so I went back to what I knew how to do is like, I'm gonna flip a house.
Yeah,
I think I can figure this out. Pretty handy. So I went, did my first flip. I did everything wrong on it. It took me forever to flip the thing because I was doing all the work myself. Yeah, exactly. I didn't know what I didn't know, right? So yeah, but I got into it, and I made I think like a whopping $2,000, just under 2,000 after 6 months of work. I mean, pretty much it broke even, right?
Yeah.
So, but the lessons learned, they taught me how to buy the next property and then kind of move on.
And you already learned how to do plumbing and electrical. Like you learned a lot of those in the first gig, right?
Yeah, exactly. So like whenever I had a contractor come over and then try to, kind of play me on the stuff that I didn't know how to do prior to, it was like, hey, listen, man, I already went through all the pricing and, I had 6 months of intense schooling here.
Yeah. Bro, that only takes you 20 minutes, not freaking 3 hours. Get out of here.
Exactly.
Yeah,
yeah. So you live and you learn, right? But yeah, it's been an interesting journey. So I was doing that, and I was growing the transportation business, doing a couple of things at the same time, and then.
So what made you decide? So you're going to school, you're doing all this stuff, which I commend you, man, because like there's a lot of young people today that can't do two things, let alone one, right? Or say that opposite, but so you're going to school. You started a transportation business. You're also trying to do some real estate at the time. And that's commendable, because to all the young people that, that are in school, it's they don't have to just be stuck going through the school, like start grinding, what I mean? Whether it's a full-time job or starting a business, but start grinding, get your feet wet. They want to wait till they're like, go to their what's it called? Where you go out to a business and like, for like 7 months.
Internships.
Yeah, they just want to wait for the internship. It's like, come on, don't wait for the internship. Just start doing something now, right?
Yeah, it's waiting for things to be all figured out it's really a fallacy. It's never going to be figured out. Now, the going back to the, and thank you for that for the recognition. The what really happened, man, is I always had drive growing up. Became a firefighter early on, so I started surrounding myself by captains with captains and people who were way further along the journey than I was. So I started just adopting these different ways of thinking. That helped out a ton, right? But what I did is, when I decided that I wanted to go all into with the business, I cut my lifeline. So I pretty much burned the bridges. And it was going to be a conflict of interest with the fire department, so I couldn't work at the fire department and then launch my business as well. Yeah. Right. So I said, I love the fire department, but it's like, I don't want to be. I'm not going to put a glass ceiling on top of myself right now, when I'm 21, 22 years old. Yeah. So I dropped that, and what happened? I went straight into survival mode. I went from at the time my girlfriend moved in with me. My stepdaughter, now she was with me. She became pregnant the first year because we were living together and we were young, and it was amazing. And so I went from this kind of like steady, income and kind of lifestyle to like, I moved cities. I'm on survival mode now because I don't have the financial cushion I used to have. I went back to construction. I made a lot of decisions that kind of shot from the hip, and that put me in this state of overdrive, right? Like, it's okay. Things have to happen. Like, things have to move. Like,
you can't rely on somebody.
Yeah, it got hard, and I come from a I humble. I grew up in a mobile home, type of deal. So it's not. The road wasn't paved. Mom was a single mom. Didn't have a father figure to look up to or kind of, hold my hand through it. So whenever I could get advice from people along the way, I would. And one thing I just drilled it into my head that I'm not a quitter. Yeah. Like that's one of the biggest things, right? Like, I have no quitting. There's no quit. If I quit, I die. Like that's what it sounded like in my head. So I kind of adopted that mentality and that behavior for years and years and years, and that helped me push through, one, barrier and then on to the next one. And eventually, turning this whole thing into almost like an overachievement, type of deal. The reason I'm saying that is because a lot of times we get into this state of performance and being entrepreneurs and conquering the goal, right? The goal. And after we hit that goal, we're still wired the same way. So the same MO in our brain or same psychology is still there, right? From the survival days. And it's easy to lose track of the joy of life. Right, of the joyful things,
because you're on to the next thing.
Yeah, exactly, because you're moving on to the next thing. And how many times do we see that with entrepreneurs, right? Like, oh, I conquered this shit. Let me move on to the next thing that I'm going to conquer. What about stopping and smelling the roses and seeing, what I guess the beauty in life, right? I got burned out when I hit around 26, 27, I was doing all kinds of things and it looked great. My family was like, wow, you're doing amazing stuff. And I felt good every time. But dude, I got tired.
Yeah.
I got burned out. I was trying to figure out how to build a business and then went back to, get my second master's degrees on psychology. So I was doing a lot of things, right? And still like tapping into real estate. I got burned out. That spark that we start off with, and that light just started dimming. And I got to a point where I felt like I didn't even want to go into the office. Mm-hmm. And like
started hating it,
bro. That's a red flag for me. It's an absolute red flag, right? I was like, man, I don't want to go to work today. It's like work. And so I started like losing myself in that process, which takes me back to what you asked me about earlier with faith, mm-hmm. right? A lot of times we can pick up speed with everything that we're doing and okay, cool, I'm tackling the next thing, because our mind, and maybe very well our situation might be on survival mode, right? But there's going to be a time where if you hit the consistency, you're going to get out of that survival mode. We have to get our mindset out of that survival mode as well. And that's when it turns into contribution. I mean, look at all the amazing stuff you're doing right now. I mean, we're talking about nonprofits that you want to set up and then trainings and how to empower people, right? Like that stuff doesn't come to mind even or awareness unless you're in a state of contribution, right? And it's interesting to see how we prolong that survival mode mentality way longer than it needs to when we can shift things around after we hit a certain point and we're good or we're performing, we're humming, and turn into this other side, which is the beautiful side of entrepreneurship. It's still going to be messy. We're still going to be figuring stuff out on the daily, right? Yeah. But then you have contribution, empowerment, and help, and then you have the ripple effects of that with the people that are around you. So I mean, it's. I think I just kind of went down a deep rabbit hole there, but
I like. Oh, so like I'm thinking as you're saying this, and so like you're absolutely right though, because when we look at everything, right? In survival mode, like being in survival mode, it's good, right? It is a good tool, but it's a temporary tool, right?
1,000%.
And some people use it for their whole lives, bro. And they're just trying to survive, and they're literally building walls up as they're surviving, and they're just blocking themselves from anything, from their dreams, from their joy, from whatever it is, right? And so, because we've known so many people that have just been surviving, and then the fear sets in, because when you're trying to survive, you're usually afraid.
Yeah.
Right? It's like someone's trying to hurt you, trying to survive, whatever, right? And so now the fear really sets in, right? The fear, then the anger, then the lack of trust. All these emotions and feelings set in, and they're literally holding themselves back. And that's where that part comes in where, well, now I got to wait for it to be perfect, right? So,
analysis paralysis.
Yeah, and it's like you're never going to get nowhere. And so I was telling someone at the conference the other day, this past weekend, and I was just telling them, I said, because they're a small company, I said, listen, you got to be careful, because I go, think about, we hear those stories of the rat wheel, the rat race, don't get in the rat race, and, who stole my cheese, all those things, right? And I'm like, so the normal person they talk about is being in a rat wheel, in the race, right? I go, but as an entrepreneur, you get in the same wheel. Yeah. It just looks a little different. And as you grow, it becomes bigger, right? And so the goal is to be able to step out of the wheel and go back in the wheel, step out of the wheel, because you can get caught in the wheel, right? And now you're too afraid to step out of the wheel.
Yeah.
It goes back to what you're saying, you know, and I think that whole defensive, and then so we got to think, like you're saying, is when we go, how do we like change it on a drop of a dime, go from defense to offense, and that's where we start making money. Defense says save, offense says, okay, I got to spend to make, right? Yeah. So I like that.
I just did a podcast on Monday, a mindset podcast, with a really good friend of mine, and the topic of it was you know, what kind of game are you playing, right? Have you ever read the book The Game of Life and How to Play it? It's a simple read. It's a small read. The Game of Life and How to Play it. Simple read. It's very, I like it because it brings the religious side and the logical side kind of, you know, together.
Yeah.
And to me, it was a very, very good book to kind of expose me to the ins and outs of everything. But it's, I think about, you know, what kind of game are you playing? And we broke it down in 4 different stages, right? There's people who are not even playing the game of life. They're just, you know, kind of bystanders in their own life. Mm-hmm. Then you have, you know, the next one is people who, they're just playing. They're going along with it. There's no real, you know, thought behind the daily, behind their purpose, behind, you know, impact or legacy. It's just, you know, okay, go to work, come back, eat, go to work in the morning again, and then, you know, do it all over, right? And then, and I want to make this clear. Like, if you're in a state of joy while you're doing that, you're winning. Right? Success is a very subjective thing. It comes different to many people. Yeah. To some, it may be a number. To some, it may be, you know, impact. To some others, it may be a place. It's subjective, right? That's the beauty of it. Mm-hmm. So everybody can be successful, right? We just got to figure out what that means to us. And then the next stage is people who are just playing not to lose. Mm-hmm. So this is where we see, I coach a lot of people who are getting into real estate, right? Or trying to scale up their real estate operations and everything. And one of the things that I come across is like, they've bet on themselves a little bit. So they're no longer just playing the game. They want to go like the extra mile. They want to, do that. But they start off with the spark and fire and all the, ambition and everything. And then things start to develop, right? Maybe they hit it, good a couple of times. Now they have something to lose. Yeah. And what happens? They'll slow down and kind of back out from that energy, from that drive, from that faith in themselves, faith in the process, faith in everything around them, right? And now they're just playing not to lose, so they play it safe, and then they stay on that wheel on the wheel again, the right wheel, and then you have the at the top of the tier, you have the people who are playing to actually win. It's an intentional thing, right? They are playing to win. So asking ourselves, and I do this on a regular basis, right? Like what kind of game am I playing? Not just in business, but what kind of game am I playing in my own fulfillment? Yeah. What kind of game am I playing in my health, in my relationships, in my with my kids? What kind of game am I just showing up, or am I really, really showing up and playing to win? Am I like actually being proactive when it comes to building the relationships, building the experience, right, of the entire thing? So, it's interesting to see how it we feel like we're on it, but in reality we're just playing not to lose. Yeah. Right.
And depending on which area of life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So what do you think? No, because it's good, and I have heard those steps. I haven't read the book, but because when you're saying, I'm like, this sounds very familiar. So playing not to lose, playing to win. Do you find like different parts of your life, or some of your mentees are like they're winning in one area, losing in another area. They don't even know they're not even playing the game in another area, right? Because I know for me, that's how it is for me. Like I look like a superstar in the business world, the contracting world or something, and then maybe my middle daughter thinks I'm a bum or something. You know what I mean? Yeah. And like, what do you say to that? Well,
it's how we're showing up, I think. I mean, I'm not, and again, like nobody's going to be a prophet in their own, how does the passage go? It's hard to be a prophet on your own land, or something like that, right? So it doesn't matter like how many thousands of dollars people pay me to have a conversation with me. When I get home, I'm still dad, right? Like, oh no, dad's a knucklehead because he didn't, I don't know, he forgot something. Mm-hmm. So that like that's always going to be there, right? But I think that it's about awareness, man. It really comes down to awareness. Mm-hmm. Just having that that awareness of even recognizing things, even recognizing your own flags, like your own red flags. Okay, cool. I mean, if I don't know, if I show up and if I get home, my kids don't want to talk to me, like, or they're more interested in something else, something trivial than actually, hey dad, what's up? Give me a hug or having a combo with me. That's a red flag, right? Mm-hmm. It's not that the game is so interesting. It's like me as a dad, it's my responsibility to be proactive and be more interesting than that game. They got to get more. In my head, they have to be more excited about seeing me than, I don't know, playing a video game for another 2 minutes. You know what I mean? So those are little bits and pieces of awareness, and I'm using that as an example, right? But we do that in business all the time. Employee buy-in when we're building the culture of the business, when we're dealing with with issues that our clients have. What are those flags, and are we doing everything that we can to come in and then go the extra mile, right? Are we playing to win, or are we just, okay, cool, I'm gonna be your your placeholder for now?
Being aware. We started talking about, we made a lot of changes in the company, just growth changes, just different things, and I've been using the word audit a lot. Yeah. And it's like, when we think of the word audit, we think of CPA, we think of accounting. Yeah. I'm like, how can we audit our lives, everywhere in our lives, everywhere in our business?
Self-audits.
And where are we messing up? Where are we losing? Where are we winning? Where are we not giving enough to? Who are we not giving enough to? What process? So being aware, that kind of aligns with that whole theory that I'm running with. Yeah. It's like, are we aware of what's actually happening and what's not happening? What's your, I follow Patrick Bet David. You probably seen him, but he's like got that book, Your 5 Next Moves. And it's like being aware. You have to be aware to know what's gonna happen. You're setting up that stage for the next set. You know what I mean? The 5 next moves, the 10 next moves, whatever that. Even if it's one move. Yeah. But if you're not aware, like you're saying, if you're not aware, it doesn't. The move doesn't come, or it doesn't look like the way you thought it did, or good or bad.
Yeah. Are you from Phoenix?
I'm from Phoenix, born and raised. Yeah.
So I was born in Yuma. I was raised in a small town, very small town, which is still about 30 miles south of Yuma. So it's a border town, right?
What's the name of the town?
San Luis.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I was raised in San Luis, Mexico until fourth grade. Then we moved over to the States. I started fourth grade or elementary in San Luis, Arizona, right? So we just kind of came across the border there between San Luis, Mexico and San Luis, Sonora. San Luis, Arizona. And one of the things that now, like going through it, as we get older, as we start doing a lot of things, and our perspective just kind of opens up, right? The thing that I realized was the awareness of doing stuff or having options was not there, or is not there, right? Depending on where you're at, I mean, your context, that your surroundings are going to matter. Yeah. The people who you're having conversations with, that's going to matter. Are you putting yourself in the right rooms? Are you looking for the right tables? Like, that stuff matters. Mm-hmm. Not because it's going to teach you the end all be all, secret to life and success, right? But it's going to plant so many different seeds of awareness as you're going through this process. I mean, masterminds are huge, even meetups, like having this conversation, it brings awareness to topics that we haven't talked about in a minute, right? Yeah, yeah. So regardless of what what the background is, like we have the opportunity. If you're listening to this podcast right now, and you're listening to the topic of awareness, like, the cat's out of the bag. Like, now it's on you. Like, you know what I mean? It's your responsibility to become aware about the stuff that matters to you, to the stuff, become aware about the stuff that brings you joy as a human being, right? Does, having a ripple effect or empowering others, does that bring you joy? Then go to town on that. but it kind of, it breaks my heart really to have conversations with people and ask them, straight out, like what do you enjoy? What brings you joy to your heart? Like what's not even purpose, right? But like what makes you smile? What do you like? And a lot of times, because of the busyness of life, we're aware about a lot of things on the survival, scale, on the professional scale, but on the personal scale, the awareness is not even there, right? So once we understand that we can be proactive about the type of things that we feed our mindset, our brain, and how we see things is totally up to us. That creates a whole different world of opportunity, of emotional intelligence, of possibilities with relationships, and I mean, it just opens things up.
Yeah.
But it's all based in that sense of awareness.
Yeah, and like we're still on that topic, which I love the topic, awareness. Because when you said it's getting around the right people, doing the right things, and we don't know what, like not we, but I'm saying we, but in general, people don't know what they want until they actually see it.
Yeah.
Right. And if you never get around, you're never going to become aware. Right. And so just like if someone never meets you, they're never going to get aware of they actually love real estate.
Yeah.
Or psychology or coaching but if they got around, you're like, man, this guy's good. I like this. Kind of what I, of like got a glimpse of it. And, now they know what it is. And they're like, man, they can literally grab your energy and run with it, but it's like you said, if you're not aware and you're not getting around the right people, we went to the conference and I've been at this conference probably 8, 9, 10 times. I don't know, since 2010. I took Antonio and I think he got something because he's never been to that, right? And I remember the first time I went to that particular conference, it was a game changer for my whole life, like game changer. We literally, at that time we were doing, I think we did like $350,000, 2010.
Yeah.
And we just started doubling, like, and because I wasn't aware, you know what I mean? And then another time was, we got invited to a group session, I don't know what you would call it, but a bunch of contractors. And we went to Colorado and I was not aware of this. And so I get in and there's like 30 contractors.
Oh, mastermind? Was it a mastermind?
Kind of like that, but so I'm mostly in the drywall contracting space.
Yeah.
So those kind of contractors. And so they had like events and teachings and all that stuff. And so I'm the smallest guy. I have no idea at this time who anybody is. I think I knew one person. He was out of Tucson, and we just kind of heard of each other. So we kind of gravitated to each other. He was like 3 times the size of me. Then I start talking with these guys, and I'm like, oh well, how much do you guys do? I was probably doing like 5 million or whatever. And they're like, oh, we did like 300 million. I'm like, holy Jesus, is that true? Is that real? Yeah. You know what I mean? Because I didn't know. I wasn't even aware.
Yeah.
And then, so then my wife was with me, Felicity.
Breaks your thinking.
And it's like, oh my God, we can get bigger. These guys are doing what? Yeah. Because you're not, what you don't know, you're not aware of.
Yeah.
And so that was another game changer. I'm like, man, we could keep growing. We could keep doing this. We can take this wherever the heck we want to take this. Right.
Yeah.
So that awareness is, in my personal life, me becoming aware of things, is key, and helping other people become aware of, their strengths, their weaknesses, what it is they want, give them a glimpse of what it could look like. I take people to our new house we built.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is how good God is.
Yeah.
Look at this. And they're like, oh my God, you can have that? I'm like, this is small compared to what the guy down the street has. You know what I mean? But it's, if they're not aware, you know what I mean? So I love it. I love that you brought that up. Go ahead.
Yeah, it goes hand in hand with belief, right? Like the first thing is to be aware of the stuff that's happening, and then kind of reframing your perspective on things, and then believing in that, the fact that change is possible if that's what you're looking for. I'm on a multiple masterminds. And when I heard the term mastermind, right, like you basically, we're gonna pay for the knowledge one way or another, either through stupid tax and 10 years of work and effort, or 6 months of just kind of idling and me learning how to flip properties, or going to somebody who's already who's done it.
Either way, you're paying 50.
either way, exactly. People would tell me like early on, right? Like, hey, look for masterminds. I was like, nah, they just want to take my money. I can go to YouTube and learn it. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of information. You can go to YouTube University and learn whatever you want to do, right? But the fact of being there in rooms with other people and then just exchanging ideas, conversations, seeing the strengths that other people have, and also understanding that those same people who are crushing it, I mean, you're like people who are way, way, way further ahead, right? Mm-hmm. Like they have some crazy weaknesses that, I realized like, oh, I'm really good at that, but they suck at it. So it kind of helped me, level the playing field when I was like, when I felt small, and it's like, all right, cool. I started understanding that we have different talents.
Yeah.
We have like, these people are going to crush it on this side and I can learn a lot from that, but they can also learn a lot from me. So it kind of, becomes this give and take, type of, experience when you're putting yourself in the middle of it, right? You have to, first off, you have to be able to jump into it. You have to jump into that vulnerability stage where you say like, shit, I don't understand this. I need some help. Mm-hmm. I would like to tap into somebody else's, experience and grow from that. But masterminds and groups like that, man, they are game changers. Yeah. They are absolute game changers.
Is there any you can recommend that are open to people right now?
Yeah. So, I mean, for real estate, for example, there's a couple of, two really good ones. One is Investor Fuel, and that's for anybody who's doing like real estate, fix and flip, wholesale, that type of stuff. It's a really good one. And then, the Elite ICE, it's called ICE, ICE, ICE Mastermind. It's another one.
That's cool. No, yeah. It's true. You got to like masterminds, mentors, gotta learn. And the energy you're going to get from it. Like you said, I watch YouTube videos all day. Yeah. I listen to Audible. I'm driving, Audible, YouTube, everything. That's all I really listen to is different things, teachings and stuff.
Yeah.
And you get some information, but you don't get the energy. Like that energy. When you see someone and you hear that they won, and they won at something, whatever it is, and they're like so proud, and you feel it off, it's just oozing off them. There's nothing like it, because now you're like, and then when you're around them enough, then you gain an understanding of, like you said, what their weakness is, and you're like, man, I suck here, he sucks there. I'm just as good. Like,
yeah, exactly. Like, why am I cutting, myself short?
Yeah, because I know I cut myself short a lot, and like I'm like, man, I suck here and I suck here, and it's like, and then they're doing something over there. It was like this guy. So I kind of mentored this guy, and he was here yesterday, and he was like, "Man, you're crushing it," and a really good guy. Like he's gonna help me with my health, and I'm like, dude, but look around me. Chaz Roberts, the Chaz AC company. I go have like 10 buildings. They're doing like 20 times the amount of revenue.
Yeah.
I go, I don't feel that way because I got to come through past all their buildings to my one building. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's that like what you're saying.
Yeah, there's always going to be a false, what do you call it? A false
ceiling or
summit.
Yeah.
Right? Like, okay, you get to the summit of the mountain and it's like, oh shit, there's a bigger mountain over there.
The cloud cleared.
Yeah.
The cloud clears and you're like, oh wait, my bad.
Wait, what? So like that stuff is always there, right? I mean, I think that's where we're really kind of finding out, our own truth is plays the biggest part. Like, what are we about, right? What kind of life do we want to live? Like, do we I don't want the headaches or the effort or the next 20, 30 years that it's going to require to get to that space? Mm-hmm. Or do I have, fulfillment right now where I stand and is that a thing?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And another thing too is like you were talking about the energy when you go to somebody and whatnot right now, right? Like there's three perspectives happening on this table. It's yours, mm-hmm. it's mine, mm-hmm. and then it's the collective of the two. So that collective is where we're brainstorming and great ideas and that, the chemistry, the vibe and all that stuff. Like that's where it happens, right? It's not going to happen through a screen. It's not going to happen through nuts and bolts of just reading a book. That's a lot of great, and I'm an avid reader. I read a lot and everything, but it does not replace personal relationships. It does not replace, having those conversations, really putting yourself out there in that sense. Think and Grow Rich is one of my favorite books. I go back and read it on a yearly basis, but it has a whole chapter in there on the power of the mastermind, mm-hmm. So, yeah, if you haven't read it, read it.
So all your, I see like on your podcast and right now, that psychology really kicks into your business principles and your coaching. How is that psychology, like taking those courses, psychology, right?
Yeah.
How is taking those courses really like helped you up your game and your business and your everyday life, like doing that training and obviously feeding your brain, every day. But how has that helped you, for people listening, like, because we got to work on ourselves, that's the truth. So how has that helped you?
I mean, that's where it starts. Think about, like, if I wanted to give you water, I can't give you water if I don't have water.
Yeah.
Right. I just can't. If I want to give you money, but I don't have $1, I can't give you money. It's the same thing. We talk about, and this is crazy, right? But a lot of times we want to help people, but we haven't helped ourselves yet. Like, we can't help anybody, right? We have to know where we stand. We have to understand ourselves, look intrinsically to see what we're even about before we start, reaching out and looking for that validation elsewhere. And what it did, like going through the process I switched from my first degrees were in business and management. And then I switched over to become an organizational psychologist because of, the human nature of things. I just want to understand how we process info. So that kind of linked in but it was a segue to me understanding how my ideas and how my some of my biases, right? Like how they develop through the years. So like, what do I think and process the way that I do? Why do I get pissed off about, things the way that I do? Like, why that matters to me. There was a point of awareness that made me realize, like, why am I getting mad about that? So I dug deeper into it. Anyways, you get to this point of self-reflection and understanding. And yeah, those are great tools. But they don't work unless you work, right? We can read all the books, we can go through, all the schooling and do everything. But if you never stand in truth with who you are, with, what you're about, and have that conversation, you can try to lie to everybody else, and you're not going to lie to yourself, right? Find that for yourself. And then I feel like it's almost like a newfound power, man. It's like you unlock a whole new level of life.
Yeah.
Wow, I suck at so many different things, but I'm really good at this one. I'm gonna lean into that one. And then, okay, my financial is in shambles. Okay, that owning it is gonna be the first thing. Like, owning your taking responsibility of the areas where you're not necessarily killing it.
Yeah.
What about relationships? What about, connections? What about health? What about, all that stuff? So you start kind of working through them, and it becomes this process, man. Personal growth is really, psychology planted that seed for me. And then I took it and I ran with it, right? I have a lot of tools that I can go back to now because of that background. But at the end of the day, like we don't have to become, psychologists to start understanding who we are, right? And when we understand who we are, we understand what our ideals are about. What kind of way do we want to do business? The people who come and have an experience with us, like what kind of ripple effect do we want to have, right?
Yeah.
It comes back to understanding who you are, because your company's going to be an extension of you.
Yeah.
That's what it really comes down to. Even if you're uber successful and you're, untapped and you have everything delegated and systems and processes, everything's honed in, it's still going to be you as an extension, right?
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Man, you 2 times already you brought up sowing seeds. I'm a big advocate, and I talk a lot about sowing seeds. When you say sowing seeds, what does that look like to you?
I'm gonna sound like a broken record, but
that's all right, bro.
It's really awareness, man. A lot of times, one simple conversation with somebody can shift their entire path.
Yeah.
I can think of one right now. So 19 years old, I walk into the fire department, and I don't know, I think I've been there for maybe 2 months, 3 months. And Captain Fornoff.
Is this in Yuma?
Shout out. Yeah, this is Yuma. Yeah. Captain Fornoff, he was looking at stocks, right? Like stocks? Like, what are stocks? Like he was looking at, something that was trading, and he was like just, pondering and doing all kinds of, thinking in his head. And I'm just this 19-year-old kid who's like super stoked about being a firefighter.
Yeah.
I was like, got it all figured out. So I asked him, it was like, this one tanked and I lost a little bit. I mean, it wasn't like high stakes or anything, right? But he was doing something outside of the world of firefighting, right? I was like, he's a firefighter. Like, why is he looking at, other stuff? I was like, well, I mean, eventually you're going to retire. You're going to do whatever. So he took, the time to explain to me that, he was always, looking at other things and analyzing stuff. So I feel like I learned how to pay attention from moments like that.
Yeah.
Like, okay, cool. I see him processing info. I see him, and that was a seed.
Yeah.
Like, it's really a seed that grew into every other context of my life. Like, if I'm in a mastermind, I'm paying attention to, what are people thinking about, right? It's and that's how they grow if we water them.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, a simple thought can just completely shift the entire.
Well, and not only that, bro. Like when you think of seeds, you think of the field, you think of orchards, you think of all these different scenarios, right? And like we could plant the seed and someone else could water it.
Yeah.
And then eventually the harvest grows.
Yeah.
And everyone reaps.
Yep.
Right. So everybody always thinks like, hey, well, I did something good, so something good's gonna happen to me, right? Which is true. The theory is true, right? But if I do something good for you and I give it to you, whatever it is, information, whatever it is, right? I'm planting the seed, and then what you do with it matters.
It's a responsibility now.
Yeah. Now it's on you, right? And then but if you're doing the right thing, then someone else is going to come and water the seed.
Yeah.
Right. And then that's when it starts to grow into a harvest. And so the guy who watered it, or woman, gets part of the harvest. You get part of the harvest, and the person sowing the seed gets part of the harvest, right?
Yeah.
But so for anyone who's listening, if someone plants a seed into you, run with it, grow it, get around someone else that can help you grow that seed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because someone gives something to you at probably a lot of times throughout your career. People have given you nuggets, wisdom, money, whatever it was, right? And if you didn't do nothing with it, they wouldn't get the harvest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they came in, someone sowed a seed, and then someone else, like, like I know lots of times someone taught me one thing that someone else came and like confirmed that one thing he was watering. Then I'm like, I'm running with it, and all this harvest, and everybody's just winning. You know, whether they know it indirectly, directly, or not. So that's why I love sowing seeds, because it's like faith like a farmer. We're designed to plant seeds into everyone. So I tell people, if you learn it and you're learning something, it's your job to give it away, right? Yeah. That's why I'm like, God gives us only what we can handle, and what He gives us, we're a steward of it, right? And so the design is for us to give it away, right? Not give all your money away, but your information, you help people with money, whatever, right? But special information. As soon as I get information, I'm trying to give it to someone else. Even if I don't even know what it means, dude. If it sounds good and I heard it from someone, I'm like texting someone. Or if it's a food that's really good, I'm like texting someone. Or I'm trying to put it on an image, like whatever it is. Like we got to give it away because I want to plant the seed. I'm trying to plant as many seeds as I can of information.
Keep the energy flowing,
Yeah, and then what resources? I'm trying to help people with money and all that stuff too. But like the sowing seeds is huge. Like. It's huge.
I mean, the other word for seed is awareness, right? Like we can plant awareness. It's the same thing.
You plant it, yeah. You plant anything.
It's the same thing.
You can plant. You can plant anything, and it'll grow in someone. Yep. Unless they're stubborn. Yeah. And then they're building that wall. We're back to that wall. You know what I mean? They're on the defense. If they're on the defense, they're not going to grow the seed. So it's bad ground. There's scriptures about planting a bad ground. Yeah. It's not going to grow, right? Because if the wall's up, no one can come in and water the dang seed.
Exactly.
It's just got a bunch of freaking seeds with no water in the dirt. That's what it is.
Yeah, it's but at the end of the day, man, like we have that. We have the ability to tap into personal power, right? Like, what are we about? It's asking yourself the simple question of, okay, what do I want my life to look like in 3 years? And be serious, be honest, like be completely vulnerable with that question, right?
Yeah.
See yourself in 3 years and reverse engineer it. I love reverse engineering stuff. So think from the end, right? So in 3 years, okay, I'm in, I don't know, this house, this relationship, I have this and that, and then I'm having this impact with people, my relationship with my mom, my brother, my, whatever is this and that, right? Like it's all laid out. And then you start thinking backwards, right? From that, it's a lot easier to put the dots together when you think from the end. So okay, to get to that point, I mean, I would have to have, I don't know, to have this conversation or to travel or to do this, to do that. And now, you end up with a square one that has, a whole game plan in front of it. Those are like almost like self-planted seeds, right? And look, we can give ourselves direction if we just spent the time thinking about some of these possibilities.
Yeah.
The reason I became a firefighter, man, is because I was at this quinceañera, and then my girlfriend at the time went to the bathroom. There was a guy sitting next to me. His wife went to the bathroom, so I didn't know the dude. So I started conversation. He ended up being the fire chief for San Luis, right?
Yeah.
So I asked him, how does that work? I was like, if you come on Wednesday over to the fire station, I'll walk you through it. Went over on Wednesday, planted a seed, and then, that, teed me up for something else. At the fire department, I got another seed from Captain Bornoff, right? And it's just like, those same actions, that same momentum, that same energy that you tap into and you're kind of writing is going to open up the next door.
Yeah.
We don't have to have it all figured out. We don't have to have it all, laid out even. I mean, we can have some general direction of where we want to go. And then things are why? Because our awareness is there, our attention is there. If you want to get on the logical side of things, your reticular activating system is paying attention to that stuff already, and you're gonna recognize it, right? That's how opportunities pop up.
Yeah, it when you start talking about reverse engineering, I think I'm wired that way. I'm like, building has come natural to me, whether it's building a building or helping building someone's life or however that look. I'm not building their life, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we get a set of blueprints, like when you're building something, right? And in your mind, so I'll do an estimate. I'm really good at doing estimates and all that stuff, all of it. But so you have to take what's on paper, and I tell people, okay, you're taking it from like 1D to 2D to 3D, and then 4D. It's all around you. Yeah. You have to build it in your mind and then tear it all apart. You know what I mean? And so it's like, and when we built our house, when we went through the blueprints and all that stuff, and I had to figure how did it look 2 years from now? Yeah. And then build it all back. You know what I mean? Like you said, and I knew every step. Even if the step, I hadn't got to the step because it's in the 2 years, you know what I mean? Like right now we're doing the backyard, right? Yeah. We started building, we bought the land, let me see, 21, I think, the end of 20 I bought the land. 2021, it was all COVID stuff. Yeah. We started the process of making the blueprints and the permitting and all that. It took like a year. It took forever. And but from October of 2020, when we bought the piece of land, I had to figure out the end game was the backyard landscaping. Yeah. How does this look? And you know what I mean? And so I tried to do that with work, and I tried my downfall is probably relationships, because I just suck at them and giving up, and probably all this stuff screwed me up, and I work on it. But reverse engineering it, I love that because people don't look far enough. Yeah. Especially today, they just look like, what's tomorrow? All right, I got $15. Let's go spend it. Yeah. Yeah. You know what I mean? And like, you ain't going to get 2 years from now, bro. You better go make some more money or do something. But if we can look out far enough and say, okay, well, what is it going to take to get there? Yeah. I want to buy a new house. Well, what is it going to take? It's going to take 20,000 down. It's whatever. How do we reverse engineer? How do I get that 20 grand? You know what I mean? Yeah. And get me all the way to that moment. Is my credit good? Is this good? Is that good? Whatever it is that their goals and their dreams, that's basic. But, so getting back into what you do, so you're killing it in the real estate. You got the podcast, you got the real estate. What is it that you like? So it's a brokerage, right? So you got your license, Do you actually carry a real estate brokerage license?
Yeah, I'm a broker. Yeah, I'm a real estate broker.
And so you're doing fix and flips, I think.
Yeah, it's a different company.
Yeah, and then what are you listing as well?
Yeah, we list
traditional listings.
Yeah, so through the brokerage we do a lot of traditional business, right? So listings and resales and all that stuff.
So you're doing the listing, you're doing the fix and flips, are you doing wholesaling as well?
Yeah.
So you're wholesaling, is that a different business as well?
So Pulse Capital, it runs wholesaling and fix and flip.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Makes
then Pulse Realty and Associates is my brokerage.
And so that way when people know, so you fix and flip, you're wholesaling. So you're finding the deal and you're giving it back out to wholesale buyers.
On wholesale, yeah. So basically, we go straight to seller. Whatever we don't flip ourselves, we'll sell it to somebody who's gonna flip it, and then we'll make a profit on selling the vested interest.
Yeah.
So we actually sell the contract.
Dude, is there any money? I mean, today.
Is
there money left on the bone today?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you just gotta find the right deals, right?
Yeah, I mean that's the magic of it.
Yeah.
So wholesale has this it's kind of like. It's got a stigma against it. But we're looking for properties that are like, they're beat up. They can't go to retail. Like they're not financeable. Like nobody's going to buy them.
Yeah, the people have to put a lot of money into them to sell them.
Like somebody's going to spend retail. Like they want to buy a house they can move into. Like just bring their stuff over, right? The wholesale properties, they need work. I mean, we have one, for example, right now. It's a really, really good deal. But we're getting it for a big discount. It's about $200,000 worth of work, right? And not everybody's going to do that kind of stuff. But it's worth.
Where's it at?
That's in Sedona.
Okay.
Prime spot. So it's a really good deal. We're doing different things with stuff. Like you have to be able to add different tools to your tool belt, right? Like we're doing a lot of subject to where we take over mortgages and that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of different ways to structure it, right? But wholesaling it's kind of like the entry to it all. You get a front seat. When you're a wholesaler.
You don't have to spend money on you can do it with no money, really.
You can. It's just gonna take longer. Realistically, like you're gonna spend some cash on marketing and building up the skills and all that.
Yeah, but I mean, is you don't have to come up with 20 G's for the down payment.
Oh no.
Because you're just locking in the deal.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you're negotiating the deals. Basically, you do spend money. You spend money on marketing campaigns and software for dialers and that sort of thing. But it's the barrier to entry is really low with wholesale. Now, if you get good at it, like you're gonna be in the front seat for a lot of opportunities that come your way.
Yeah.
And that's really what makes it. I mean, at this point, I started fixing and flipping, and then I saw a fee on there because I bought it from a wholesaler. First property, and I don't know what it said. It just said assignment fee on it, and he had a fee. So like I did 2 properties like that, and then he called him, hey, what's this assignment fee thing that's going to your business? Oh, that's my wholesale. It's like, okay, cool. So that, again, we go back to seeds, we go back to awareness. It's like, all right, cool. No, check out this guy. And then he pointed me in the direction of somebody who had like podcasts and content, Sean Terry. So I started listening to his stuff, right? And then, I mean, like, this is crazy not to do this, right? So I went into it. And this is 2009.
You've been wholesaling since that time?
I've been wholesaling since 2012.
Oh, wow.
2009, first couple of flips. Did some before I started wholesaling.
I was thinking about getting into it just because I need to put my cash somewhere.
Yeah.
And I was looking at, I could have had a couple of buildings what I didn't know before, like say 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I've done probably like 20 real estate deals, and that's it, right? Fix and flips and a couple wholesale deals. But I didn't realize like the leverage of like how to get financed and how to get the different types of financing options, and like I try to buy some, and these are bigger like commercial deals, and I both times I try to use my bank, which I have a really good relationship with them. But but they screwed up both deals. You know what I mean? Hey, and my realtor was like, I got a guy. And I'm like, nah, don't worry about it. I got my bank. My bank, both deals. You know, and now it's like, so I started doing some coaching. I was getting coached by Bobby Castro. I don't know if you know who Bobby Castro is. He's out of Florida. I mean, he has like probably like 3,000 units, and he's worth about 500 million or 700 million or something.
Nice.
So I was under him. I was doing his coaching. So it's this guy.
There you go.
So the saying I have on the wall when you walked in is, your ego is not your amigo.
Ego's not your amigo, yeah.
That's his quote. He probably stole it from someone else, but he's a cool guy. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go get coached because I know certain things, and I just want to be, like you said, I want to be aware. You know? So I started getting more aware, and he's more in the multifamily space. Then I started listening to more a couple local guys. You know, the guys. A couple guys out of Vegas, and I'm just listening, like, what's going on? I'm like, well, should I do this? Should I not do it? I got some young kids that want to start something, and I'm just not sure. You know, I want to do it. I don't know. I still don't know enough.
There's so many different routes to take, right? Like in real estate, like you can go down the. We're doing a lot of buy and hold.
That's what I want. That's what I really want to do.
And like I said earlier, we're doing a lot of subject too. Mm-hmm. So we're taking a lot of property down with, you know, financing in place and that sort of thing. Like strategies,
creative financing.
Yeah, creative financing. I mean, it's there's so many different ways to like skin the cat when it comes to real estate.
Yeah.
Commercial is not that much different in terms of how to structure the deals.
Very similar.
The numbers are numbers, right? Like you're gonna have value add opportunity. You're gonna have, you know, the use is gonna matter. So there's variations in all, you know, between the two of them. But at the end of the day, like it's every single real estate transaction is gonna be different. I guarantee you that. I strongly feel like picking one lane at the beginning and then just kind of bolting on strategies.
Yeah.
Like one thing that I see, like somebody comes to me and they like for my students, right? Like I want to do this and I want to flip and I want to like, no. Let's go like, let's hone this down first.
Yeah.
And then you can add whatever you want on top of it. But you're going to give me at least 6 months of focused effort on this one strategy. Right.
Yeah. I think I just want to buy and hold.
Yeah.
I don't, because I looked at wholesaling. I'm like, man, I don't know if I want to like start locking in things and then it doesn't pan through. I don't get a buyer or something. It's not passive by any means.
Yeah. Like it's a very, very much active, you know, strategy.
What's that, wholesaling?
Yeah, wholesaling.
Yeah, you got to keep working it.
Yeah, it's one of those. If you stop working, your revenue stops, right?
Yeah, so I figure long term. I'm more long term.
Yeah,
you know, just buy and hold. Just keep buying properties.
Right.
You know, like I throw enough money away anyways. I might as well just pay a higher payment.
And I mean, right now, for example, like sub 2 or you know, creative financing. Think about it, right? Interest rates are 8s, which is, you know.
Dude, we could do
through the roof.
We could do that more with commercial. There's more commercial guys. So you think about like, so right now, there's like 60% of loans, mortgage loans are under 4%, right?
Yeah.
So those people don't want to, they don't want to give up what they got, right?
Yeah.
Low payment, but and commercial, there's a lot of people that are struggling right now. Yeah. That have that low interest rate, a lower interest rate than normal.
I'm negotiating a car wash right now, like as we speak.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, cool. Not right now, but like today. So I came in. We've actually been going back and forth for a few months. They went dark on us. They came back yesterday, so we have a call set up for today. But that's creative financing on a commercial property. It happens all the time. Like there's so many different ways to really build up portfolios. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it doesn't mean like you're not gonna throw a cent into it, but like you can monetize, you can JV, you can partner up with other people who have the cash that's just sitting there. Mm-hmm. So if you're a deal finder, like you're like there's ways of making it work.
Yeah,
you know, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. So what's your biggest you know, for all the people listening, the real estate guys and girls that are following you, what's your biggest win?
Are you talking like one-offs or biggest deal?
Yeah.
Like, is that okay? Yeah. I mean, I've done a few of them. We've crossed the 200K, you know, profit mark on a few of them on wholesale deals.
That's a big deal.
Yeah. So I mean, fix and flip. Yeah. I mean, they're more, you can, depending on how big the project is, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I've had students cross the 200K or mark on wholesale stuff. So it's exciting, right? Like sometimes you can have big whales on the table, and then sometimes it's going to be a $10,000-$15,000 spread, which is also fine.
So you just go, whatever comes your way. It's like whatever's in the pipeline, let's go.
Yeah.
It's all revenue, right?
Let's work it. It's all revenue. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're not picky. You don't like.
No. I'm not. I'm not too good for any deal that comes my way.
Yeah. Dude, that was like in my space. I think I got too picky.
Yeah.
For a bit. Yeah, because we're doing massive jobs, like 3 million, 3.5 million, one project, and it got to a point where I'm like, I don't want to do your little job.
Yeah.
Then I start thinking about like, what the hell am I doing? Like I used
well,
to do those little
you
jobs.
have to work them. Like right now, we're working deals. I think we have about 12 or 14 wholesale deals going on, but we have just 29 or 30 additional deals that we're taking down. Mm-hmm. So I mean, it's a combination of 40 plus deals right now that the team is working.
Yeah. Well, how big's your team?
The wholesale side, I have 6 people. And then on the buy and hold side, we have, I think, a team of 8.
And then you have like all the people that are sending you deals and.
Yeah, we have JV stuff that comes in and whatnot. We do a lot of driving for dollars or door knocking. So we have a team of drivers as well. We opened up JV partnerships in a few markets where we bring JV partners in. We teach them everything. We support them, give them software, the ropes, right? And then we stay in the deal for a percentage. So that's rolled out in 3 different markets right now. We're gonna open up 2 more. So we're still kind of testing that model. We don't know if we're gonna just keep the JV open, or we're just gonna come in and then deploy, an area manager for the areas.
Yeah. And so you're working in multiple states.
Yeah.
That's cool, man.
We're doing Florida, we're doing Vegas, we're doing New Mexico.
Florida's hot. Everybody lives in Florida.
Bro, Jacksonville, Tampa. Don't tell anybody I said this, but like it's popping. Yeah.
There's a lot going on over there.
Yeah, there is.
So like these young entrepreneurs, these maybe not young in age, but what would you say to them if they want to get started in real estate?
Surround yourself with people who are doing it. I mean, if you look for, you can
just look for you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, hit me up. Number 1. 2 is like, look for masterminds, right? Look for meetups. Just start having those conversations. Like, don't feel like you don't know enough, because like, trust me, like I didn't know enough at one point. Yeah. If I didn't, ask that first question, the needle wouldn't have moved at all. So it's really about, understanding what you have and then doing whatever you can with it.
Yeah.
Right. Take action. Do
they have to be willing to take a risk?
Yeah. Yeah, and the risk is going to be a risk on them. It's going to be on their ego. Yeah. It's going to be a risk on like
it's not always money. It's not always financial. It's not always
money, man. Like the hardest risks. I mean, for me early on, I can tell you they were ego based. Mm-hmm. Now once I started to understand how my ego worked, and that's saying your ego is not your amigo. It's I can't think of the book right now. It resonated because of that. Like I heard it before. But I got to a point where I understood like a lot of stuff that gets in my way. It's me, like it's my own ego. It's me. Like, I don't want to say that I don't understand it because I'm gonna sound stupid. Yeah. I don't know. I don't want to jump on that because whatever, right? But it was always an ego conversation happening inside of me that would kind of deter me from taking the next step, right? Reaching out to somebody, putting myself out there, having a conversation with somebody else. Tapping into JV partnerships. It was always an ego thing. So leave that stuff aside. Understand that hustle is a season. It's not a business strategy. Hustle is a season. We're gonna have to hustle. There's gonna be periods of hustle. Every time we level up, we go back to that hustle mode, right? But it's a season. It's not a business strategy. You can't hustle your whole life because you're gonna get burned out. Yeah.
Well, I like to use the word grind.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like you said, hustle is like a street slang. Like you're gonna be a drug dealer.
Yeah, grind. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, but you just got to work your butt off, right? Yeah. It's like, and like like you said, as it gets easy, then if you want to go to that next level, it's gonna get hard again. You're gonna get your butt whooped again, and you can get some black eyes and some bloody noses and stuff. But it's like, let's go.
Yeah.
So what's the, like, doing everything you're doing, what's one of the biggest lessons you've learned? You know, we talked a lot about all these things, but what do you think, like, a huge lesson you learned, whether it's good or bad?
Nothing moves unless I move, and it really comes down to risk. There's this quote I love. I mean, I kind of live life through it. It's I refuse to walk carefully through life, only to arrive safely at my death.
Yeah.
So anytime I get with like, I don't know, the idea of fear, and fear, my buddy has this analogy, or this acronym for it, which is fear's false evidence appearing real, right? But I get to that point. I think about, what am I going to regret tomorrow, right? Like, I mean, we're here for a very, very short period of time. I mean, our lifespans are not, I mean, when you look at the grand scheme of things, I mean, there's only so much impact that we can have, right?
Yeah.
So what else are we gonna do?
Yeah.
Am I just gonna sit around and kind of wait for life to happen, or am I gonna go in there and actually do life with it? What kind of impact do I want to leave behind for those who do business with me? What kind of impact do I want to have on my kids? What kind of you talked about legacy, like, when we started talking, right? But, what is that going to be like? Yeah. At the end of the day, man, there's so many different ways that we can go. The reality is that it's never going to be figured out. You know why? Because you're going to think that you have something dialed in, and then the new shiny object pops up. And now you're going to be paying more attention to this other thing. Oh, like, I mean, shit, we see it all the time. And okay, NFTs, and now, this other thing, and now the crypto, whatever, right? Things change all the time. And there's always going to be a desire to change along with things. Nothing is going to make more sense than choice, than having personal choice over the person that you want to become, over the person that you want to, evolve into, right? If you're not there yet. And nothing is going to move unless you move. Action cures all. Yeah.
Action cures all. So final thing, what do you say to that young entrepreneur, young real estate investor, just that young, not necessarily in age, but that person that just wants to start, they're looking up to you, they're maybe looking up to me or looking up to someone else. What's that one piece of advice through all this? We said everything 1,000 times, but like, let's leave them with that one nugget again.
Think big.
Think big. Oh, I love it. Think big. Don't hold yourself back. It's
not
the end of the world.
Bro, think big. Think big. Whatever you're thinking, think bigger.
Yeah. Yeah. Just like when I went to that meeting. You're doing 300 million? I'm doing nothing? Think big. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So I appreciate you for your time, man.
Brother, it's been a blast, man. Thank you so much.
It's been an honor and a pleasure to have you on. And thank you, guys. Be blessed.